Welcome to another episode of the Football Fun Factory podcast. We're going to get straight in today and we're going to spin the wheel to see who the judge is going to be. I'm pretty sure the rules are you can't be a judge 2 weeks in a row.
No, I was.
I think you're allowed. I think you can be judges.
Well, let's find out.
As many times as the spinner decides.
You stopped it. Do it again. You just stopped it at the back. Do it again with your hands away.
Lukey Chadwick.
Oh my God almighty. I'm the judge again this week on the Football Fun Factory podcast. I'm not going to wear the wig or the gown because Johnny didn't last week and it's really warm outside. So let's see what the first subject is this week.
How warm is it out of interest?
Good spin.
Great spin.
Oh, great question. I'm going to come to you first, Johnny, because you are the head of delivery at the Football Fun Factory. Your favourite session to deliver?
I know James is going to get me on a technicality with this answer. However, my answer is a match.
Ooh. A match? The game's the best teacher.
You've got it, Luke.
I like it.
Tell us a little bit more, though.
So kids absolutely love playing matches. We try and play lots of matches throughout our sessions at the Football Fun Factory. So we have an arrival game when they turn up, so they go straight into matches and start playing. And then we have a session, then we go back into a game, then we have another session, and then we finish with a game. So we actually play 3 matches throughout an hour-long session at the FFF, our Football Fun and Development sessions, and the kids absolutely love it. They love playing the game. Let the game be the teacher. They get loads of goals, loads of fun, loads of happy, smiling faces, and that is without doubt the biggest reason and why I should win this point.
Top that.
Mine, I'm going to take this somewhere a little bit different.
Ooh.
My favourite session to deliver has been, historically, the first one. So if there's a new season or a new term, if you have a little break, so I'm thinking back to when we were in academy football, that first session in pre-season when everyone's had a bit of a break, the sun's out, everyone's really, really buzzing for it in a fantastic mood. I think it's a real... I think back really fondly of those moments. I think for grassroots coaches, it might be the first session after a break in the summer. So they might have a couple of tournaments end of season, come back ready and raring to go again. Again, the sun's shining, everyone's got their shorts on. So I think the first session of the season or term or whatever it might be, the programme that you're delivering, I think the first session is always my favourite.
Well, you've taken that a little bit. I was expecting sort of a specific drill that you was going to go with. So I quite like the answer to that.
Thanks.
James, do you want to question Johnny a little bit on his a game?
Yeah, so I think favourite session to deliver, the technicality you mentioned would be that a session is typically an organised, structured training session.
That's right.
I think if you were to say what word comes before session in football terms, you would say training.
Sure.
But match is then different. Of course, you can play matches in training. I think if you're then saying that the full session is matches, then I would say, well, hold on a minute, Johnny Martin. Yes, let the game be the teacher, but they need to do some sort of development exercise ahead of that.
I think you could have a whole session of matches. I probably wouldn't, because I quite like mixing it up and having lots of little changes and fast-paced drills and sessions as well mixed into their matches.
Sessions, yeah.
However,
what do you mean by session?
I think you could play a match for the duration, but I think you'd have to do a lot of constraints coaching. I think you'd have to then play around with the rules within the match to then make it fresh, to make it different for the children, to get different outcomes from it.
Because they get bored.
Not in case they get bored, but to provide them with different challenges throughout the game. I don't think they'd ever get bored playing a game. I think
ever.
You go to the park. Yeah, I used to go to the park when I was little, and you'd play straight after school until it was dark, and I could have kept playing forever.
All night.
So sorry, can I ask a question? You two bickering. Say your favourite session to deliver. So how would you, as the coach, deliver that?
So when I mean to deliver, for me, what success is as a football coach is judging success not in trophies or medals, but smiles on faces. So for me, delivering a match, delivering a session and facilitating that for the children that are coming and playing, seeing them run around with a massive smile on their face, that gives me the most satisfaction, the most joy as a football coach. Therefore, is my favourite.
Give us some ways of how do you make that? Is it just set them up in 2 teams? Away you go.
No, so I think you can do loads of different things. You can, depends what you're working on. So if you give us a topic, I'll give you a little game you could play.
Defending a low block.
Split the pitch into 3 pitches. So yeah, I think.
Sorry, but what I'm just trying to get at is you're obviously delivering like in general, like what are you doing on coaching?
Yeah, so what I tend to do when I'm facilitating a match is obviously I'll set the game up. I might set them some constraints or little challenges within the game. What I'll then tend to do is like commentate throughout the game, not as in pass, shoot, dribble, but more so, she's beat 1, beat 2, she's hit the crossbar, nice try, never mind, and like try and get them excited that they're almost on TV playing a real game. What I'll then also do is pull children to one side and maybe give them a little bit 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 coaching. So I might pull a couple of children over whilst the game's going on. So then children aren't having to stop as a whole group and listen to me chirp on and give loads of coaching advice. So I'll tend to pull them over 1-to-1 to give them that little bit of advice. And that's why I really enjoy it, because everyone's playing, everyone's getting lots of touches. You're still able to help the children develop, but more on a 1-to-1 basis and in that fun environment.
Brilliant. Johnny, do you want to question James a bit on that first session back after a break?
Yeah, probably not disagreeing with it, because I think it is a good session. I always like that first one back. Why do you think it is that coach's favourite session is after a break?
I think it's probably more about the children. So I think it's the children. I've always found that if you have a little break for the summer or whatever, come back for pre-season or the start of a new season, then everyone's just in a fantastic mood, really looking forward to it. I think when you have a break from anything, you're kind of chomping at the bit, you're really excited, something that you've missed. But I think a break is also good. I think there's examples of when sometimes it can be a long old season or there's like maybe too much football. So then when you have a break, everyone's refreshed, energised, like anything. I think any time that you do something for a long time, a break is necessary to then motivate and inspire you to get ready to go again. And I think the fact that everyone then comes to the session with that collective enthusiasm, quite often within the sessions that we run and deliver, if you're running a fantastic session, it's when all the children are really enthusiastic. So one way for that to be the case is then for it to be the first session where then everyone comes with so much energy.
Do you ever think that some children might arrive at that first session actually feeling the opposite, a little bit like dreading that first session or nervous about that first session? So maybe starting a new season, they're joining a new team, they're feeling a bit nervous and apprehensive?
I think that could be possible, but I think if you read the question, it says your favourite session to deliver.
Why did you talk about the children then, about it being their thing?
Okay, stop. I'm not going into another argument. I'm going to stop it there. Really good arguments from both of you. I love the way that you took that.
Thank you.
Sort of not a specific drill, it was about that first session. I get that completely, but
no,
I am a massive fan of the game being the teacher. Nothing better than the kids playing games, learning the game. Like you say, you're the one that drives the energy of that, the way that you talk to the children on the side of the pitch. So the point one, don't worry though.
I'll get the next one. I'll get the next one.
Chance. 1-0, Johnny Martin.
Thanks
Let's
very
go
much.
again.
If I give a really bad answer, will I still win this point?
You'll have to wait and see.
Luke did last week when he gave Robbie Williams.
The best thing about coaching? Ooh.
Robbie Williams.
James.
Only people that listened last week.
If you
will
haven't listened
understand.
last week, you have to go and listen last week. 'Cause it was
Last week, I'll explain this. Johnny asked one of the worst questions of all time.
It's on the board.
Okay, well, it was on the Wheel of Fortune of the best celebrity football coach for the Football Fun Factory.
Best celebrity that could be.
My mind went blank. First name that came into my head was Robbie Williams. James said Stephen Merchant, and I won the point. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't give away too much.
Yeah.
If someone wants to go
People
back
aren't
and
going to listen now,
that.
Luke.
Don't listen to last week's. This week's is a much better episode. James.
In general, how it makes people feel. I think that is the most important thing. So if you're a professional footballer, if you're a youth team player, if you're an 8-year-old, if you're a 2-year-old taking your first steps in football, the biggest thing for you as an individual is how you feel. So it's the coach that makes you feel special. It's that new pair of football boots. It's the first kit you ever wear. All of those kind of fond moments of football ultimately is how you feel. You feel a sense of pride. You feel happy. You make friendships. The best thing about football coaching for me is the opportunity to help children to feel like $1 million and the impact that that can make.
Fantastic. Johnny?
For me, I think the best thing about coaching, and this is probably a little bit more general, not just coaching children, coaching adults within football, but in general, is helping people become the best version of themselves. I think that as a coach, if you're able to help someone unlock their full potential, I think that's an incredible thing about coaching, that you can really help them, as I say, become the best version of themselves.
Two really good answers. I don't think you can really question each other much on them. They're really, really sort of impactful. Is there anything you want to say to Johnny to argue your point is better than his?
I'd say, Johnny, that I completely agree with your point.
Thanks.
Johnny?
I completely agree with James's point.
Okay, let's leave that one there. I'm going to make a decision. I think you know which way this decision's going to go. Johnny, love the way you sort of spoke about it, the way that you could hear your passion. But James, 1-1, final point of the round. Let's go.
Let's hope this one's a bit more controversial, Luke.
I think it is. The hardest one in your coaching.
We had that last week.
Okay, let's go again.
Big questions on the board.
Yeah, definitely. One thing you would change about the football coaching industry. I think we may have had the question again, but I'm going with it. I'm not going with it. I mean,
when do you tweak it, Luke? When do you tweak it? On the spot.
The one thing you would change about the football coaching industry.
Sort of sounds like...
I'm going to spin again. We've had a lot of these questions. I don't know who's in charge of changing them. How to stop kids getting bored during session? What a question. What a question.
Now that has pulled it out the bag.
Johnny, how do you stop kids getting bored?
Find an appropriate challenge for the children within the session.
Good.
More.
So there's a framework used by the FA called the STEP framework.
What does that stand for?
Space, task, equipment, and players.
Interesting.
And it talks about changing one of those 4 things to change the challenge that the children are experiencing. So if you want to make it harder for the children, you can make the area of the pitch smaller, so they've got to then have tighter control. There's more players around them, making it really difficult. So that will then hopefully challenge the children appropriately to then keep them interested and keep them focused within the session. I think you can go too far the other way, and if you challenge them too much, that's why the word appropriate is really important in that.
Good word.
In that part.
Oh, he's good. It's
a fantastic answer, Luke.
James, top it though. Yeah. I believe in you.
So, how to stop kids getting bored during football sessions? For me, it's not talking too long.
Good point.
Yeah. More?
Oh, mic drop. Very good.
See what I did there?
No. Oh, yeah.
So, to elaborate, a lot of football coaches step in, and when we do our training, we talk about getting in and out of the session, setting it up, getting the children active and moving within 30 seconds at the start of the session. When I think back to the kind of old school FA coaching courses, I think they're much improved now, but it's very much about stop, stand still, and then you'd have to almost like say, here's what happened, let's rehearse it at half pace, now let's go at full pace, now let's play. And you'd go in and you'd make an intervention, stop the session for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You do like a phase of play, which is like an 8v8, and it would mean that you would stop a match. Everyone's enjoying themselves playing a match. We talked in another question about how much enjoyment people get from playing games, I think at all ages, right from 6 through to seniors. And then it was all about then going in, stopping the game, and going through that repeated exercise again. And the thing that everyone would dread is stop, stand still. Like, you just hate it because you're just like, I just want to play. So for me, people going in, talking too much, the ego of the coach. So people step in and it's all about, what can I say that makes me sound really knowledgeable? What can I say that when you're being assessed by a tutor, what can I say that's going to make the tutor go, yeah, that's great technical information. He knows his stuff. Whereas if you put it through the lens of how little can I say so the children learn a little something and get playing again straight away, so we get as many minutes and as many touches as possible. For me, not talking too much is how to stop kids getting bored.
Good answer. Johnny, do you want to question James on that at all?
I can't disagree with it. However,
the moment you say however, sounds like you are going to disagree with something James has said.
However, I do think that if the coach is engaging, uses storytelling, changes the pitch and delivery with their voice, changes the rate of speed, uses pauses, all of these small ways in which they can communicate effectively, I do think you can talk for a period of time. How long's too long? As long as a piece of string is
How long's a string?
Well, it depends.
Well, it's too long.
Well, there you go. So I think that as much as I agree with that, and I don't think you should speak for too long, I do think there are times where coaches should go in and maybe speak for longer. I do think there are times where people can go in and speak really passionately and really enthusiastically and engaging. It keeps all the children not bored through storytelling and those types of things.
I agree, but it's about not talking for too long.
How long's too long?
How long's a bit of string?
How long is too long?
Depends on the age group of the kids, depends on the technical information, depends on the ability of the children. Yeah.
Grassroots.
Yeah. Step in, get out within 30 seconds, get the game going again.
I think you can talk for a minute.
I think you can, if necessary. However, it depends on if that's an academy session with their
I think you can talk to a grassroots team for 90 seconds, being really engaging, really inspiring, using storytelling to capture their imagination without them getting bored.
I think that's possible, but I don't think there's much in the way of, if there's millions of football coaches throughout the UK, how many of them are active, like positive storytellers? Not too many.
We're speculating.
You have to speculate to accumulate.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
James. Johnny?
I can't remember what your answer was.
Oh, it couldn't have been that
so
good.
So insignificant and so pointless that I can't even remember what it was.
Appropriate challenge.
Yeah.
That's pointless to you.
Yeah, well, it's not pointless. It just doesn't deserve a point. So
that's exactly what it's going to be.
So appropriate challenge, just really obvious more than anything. Like, if I'm running a session, if I've got a Premier League winner in the session and I've got a less able participant, then of course I give an appropriate challenge and make it a bit harder. It just seems very, very obvious and very, very basic.
As opposed to yours for not talking too long.
Yeah, but I think it's a common mistake.
So go on then, go on, quiz me. I'm not quizzing you. I've made my point. Come on, disagree with appropriate challenge. Beyond it being obvious.
Sometimes it's good to have the same challenge for the whole group. So whilst I agree that sometimes...
But that's an appropriate challenge for the whole group.
Yeah.
So Mike, you're
just blurred lines, it's just a grey area. It's just a grey area.
It seems very catty this week. I know it's because I'm the judge. It seems it's a bit bickery.
Johnny always gets like this, Luke. It's always Johnny.
I'm going to stop it there. I actually thought they were really two good points. I think you have to have appropriate challenge. I am a great believer. One of the reasons that I stopped coaching is an awareness of I was talking too much. It became about my ego, and I got sick of the sound of hearing my own voice talking all the time and not seeing the kids. You could see they weren't enjoying it, and that's one of the main reasons that I started
the Football Fun.
So that's why I came on board. So I'm going to give you the point and you the win.
Congrats.
For this week, because I think it's so important that coach. It's not the egoic needs of the coach; it's the children, and they're the most important thing within every training session. So. Good point, John.
Thanks very much.
James is a champion.
Congrats, James.
Thanks, John.
So now, it's time for everyone's favourite part of the podcast.
Chaddies.
Questions?
Yeah, quiz Chaddy.
Quiz chatty. Let's go.
The last question that we had in the courtroom, Chad, was around how do you stop children from getting bored? What did your coaches do when you were playing to make sure that your sessions in adults football were enjoyable, or did they? Or is it just sometimes you went out and it was a really dull session, sometimes you went out, it was a fun session?
Yeah, I think for me, both as a sort of a kid coming through, what the most important thing for me in a session was the coach's energy and enthusiasm. I think that really sort of goes on to the players then in terms of what you do, and in terms of the more sort of boring tactical stuff that was really important as a professional footballer that you do a lot of, that was usually delivered by the manager of the team. It was usually the coaches that were a little bit more light-hearted, a little bit more full of energy to sort of get the sessions going. So I think it was always the way that the coaches were certainly helped me from being disengaged in the sessions.
Nice.
Did you ever get bored? So I know bored's maybe not the right term, but were there ever times, and I'm not asking you to name clubs or coaches because I think that would be unfair, but were there times in your professional career where you didn't look forward to training because of maybe the methods or the type of training? I know that when a new coach or manager comes in, sometimes they have a different, some people like to play lots of 5-0s, lots of rondos and whatever. Lots of people then go more technical or increase the fitness training. Like, are there times where you just got a bit bored or fed up with training day to day, or did you always enjoy it?
Yeah, I don't think there was probably once in my career where it sort of, I lost a little bit of
Sir Alex
enjoyment, a little bit of enjoyment, was a little bit disengaged. I never really enjoyed any of the unopposed sort of sessions. They used to sort of understood why we did them, but I didn't really enjoy them. But I knew that it was going to come to the next bit where it'd be possessions, game, like opposed stuff that I absolutely loved. I really, at times, got disengaged in set plays, sort of defending in set pieces, going through that, and switched off, and sometimes got to the game and had to check the wall to see where I was standing, so I weren't listening particularly well during the training session. But I think there was probably only once, I'll keep it to myself, when it was that I sort of probably went through a period of not enjoying going to training.
I'll ask you when the podcast finishes.
Yeah, I'll let you know straight away. Thank you for joining us again for the Football Fun Factory podcast. We'll look forward to another episode really soon.